The center is buzzing this morning, but I just now ask you to turn your attention to our opening song. The words are in your program. I've got that joy, 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 joy. Yeah. Just in time for a joyful season. Please stand and join in singing our opening song.
I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I got the love, 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 love down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the love, 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 love down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I got the peace passes understanding down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I got the light of spirit down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the light of spirit down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay.
All right, very nice. Thank you. And again, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Sarasota. I'm Kathleen Frankert. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner here, and I greet you this morning with Namaste. Namaste is the Sanskrit greeting. That means the divinity in me recognizes and greets the divinity in you. And it's such an honor and a pleasure to welcome you all here this morning. If you have time after the service, we invite you to take part in our community time. We have coffee and refreshments, and mostly just a time to get to spend in community and getting to share what's going on in our lives and what's going on in our spiritual journeys, if that's something that you want to talk and share about. So at any rate, please do join us if your schedule permits. We'd love to get to share some time with you. When you arrived, you received a program, and in it, inside the front cover is our community declaration. And we read this together to bring it to life for ourselves as individuals and as members of this spiritual community. So please join in reciting that with me now. We are a spiritual center that honors all paths to God. Ours is a positive message, inspiring our possibilities and offering spiritual tools for transforming our lives and helping to make the world a better place. Here we can find peace of mind, belonging to a spiritual home, and a personal relationship with the God of our understanding. We are here to discover what we already know. Thank you. Very nice. I'd like to just extend a special welcome to our first-time visitors. We're very happy that you would spend some time with us here this morning and look forward to getting to know you later after the service. At the Center for Spiritual Living, Sarasota, we believe in the power of affirmative prayer and in knowing spiritual truth that we know will resolve life issues and concerns that when they seem most challenging. And here at the center, we are really blessed to have 3 licensed spiritual practitioners available after the service to meet with you one-on-one for some prayerful support. We call them miracle moments. If that's something that calls to you today, our practitioner is who's hosting the miracle moments is Jim Grove. He's wearing a stole that looks like this, and he will be happy. There he is, waving his hand. He will be happy to meet with you after the service for some private one-on-one time. for spiritual support. And also, too, just I'll mention, inside the program is a prayer request form that you can fill out and place in the offering basket later if you would like to be held in affirmative prayer for some issue or concern during the coming week. I have just a couple of announcements. This week we restart our spiritual living circles for this week and the following week. And that's hosted also by Jim Grove. He's available to answer any questions about that. But it's a 1-hour midweek pickup, I will call it, or pick-me-up, where we review an article from the Science of Mind magazine and get a chance to just talk about spiritual living. This is a center for spiritual living, and this is how we get to some opportunity to practice and learn about how we can apply these very life-affirming principles in our day-to-day life. So sometimes by Wednesday, I know I need a pickup, and I know that this is just a powerful way to do that in community. So it's minimal preparation, but maximum results and benefits. So please do take advantage of that if your schedule permits. There's a sign-up sheet on the back table. The other nice thing about Miracle Moments, the Spiritual Living Circles, is that if you are not currently a subscriber to Science of Mind magazine, you get a free 6-month subscription. So that's worth it right there. And so now with that, I would just invite you to make sure that your cell phone has been turned to vibrate or turned off as we prepare for our time of meditation. And now Bob Teasdale, our wonderful music director, will lead us in our beautiful chant today.
God is, I am right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is, I am right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. One more time. God is, I am right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am.
God is, I am. Breathe into this beautiful space of stillness and take that in. God is, I am. Feel the breath enter every part of your being. And as you do, feel the calmness and clarity of this truth wash over you. The divine, the one, the creative life force, God by any name. This is the I am expressing in, through, and as you, as me, as each one. For God is everywhere present in all of life, in every one. How comforting it is to know that this presence of peace, of love, benevolence, wisdom, health, and prosperity in every measure is already always available and indwelling in us. We don't have to seek it out, ask for it, behave in a certain way. It just is. Its qualities are the qualities of each one to the extent of our consciousness and receptivity of them. And yet we can sometimes lose track of this truth as we experience an upset, a worry, concern, fear, confusion, the circumstances of life. These situations may seem like facts, but they are not the truth of our inherent spiritual nature, the nature we were created to consciously know and enjoy. So now I affirm for each one that no matter the circumstance or outward appearances, now and in every moment, there is always peace, joy, benevolence, wisdom, health, and prosperity of this perfect and divine presence of God. I affirm that we consciously choose to experience God, and we take time to simply be still and know that God is, I am. Accepting this good for each one, I release this affirming prayer to the law, which always says yes. And so it is.
God is, I am, right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is, I am, right here, right now. God here, right now. God is, I am.
Later in the service, we're welcoming back our beloved Reverend Karen, who's been away for a couple of Sundays, visiting with family over the Thanksgiving holiday. But before she comes up, I'm happy to welcome back Fawny Frost to our podium this morning. She has joined us on numerous occasions before with her lovely voice, and we're blessed to have her back again this morning. Please welcome Fawny Frost.
Peaceful seasons of every moment, light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, sweet joy in our heart. Yeah, 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 yeah. Every day's a choice, show some kindness. We are part of one family, yeah. So connected, our hearts and spirit. I reach out for you, you reach out for me. Peaceful season, love celebrate our faith. Let's celebrate love. Let's celebrate peace. Let's celebrate light. Shine, 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 shine. Let's celebrate faith. Let's celebrate hope. Let's celebrate joy, joy in our heart. Peaceful season, love every moment. Light shine wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence. Joy, joy in our heart. Peaceful seasons, love every moment. Light shine wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence. Joy, joy in our heart. I say joy, joy, joy in our heart. Joy, joy in our heart.
Bonnie. Thank you, thank you. You know, when I hear Fawny sing, or when I hear music like that that's so upbeat, I can't help but feel the joy, right? And I have to remember, because this is what we're going to talk about today, that the joy is not something that she's doing to me, it's something that she's triggering that's already in me. And we all have it in us. And that was the punchline for today. I am so happy to be back. I had a wonderful time away with my family and in Virginia and Williamsburg, which I've never been there, so it was just a lovely, lovely time. I couldn't have asked for better. And I want to say thank you to our guest speakers, Ron, who is here today, Ron Frost, who did a beautiful job. I listened to the whole recordings of both services, and everybody was just on their game. I was so proud of you all. And my heart filled when I listened to those recordings. So thank you, Ron, and also Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, who was here last Sunday. So you were in good hands. And welcome to those of you who are visiting for the first time, too. I would love to meet you and talk with you after the service and just get to know you a little bit and welcome you personally. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to be talking today and next Sunday about a subject that's actually based on the title of this book, Happy for No Reason, by a woman named Marcy Shimoff. And the title intrigued me some time ago. I've had the book for a few years now, and it intrigued me because I hope I'm not the only one, but happy is usually for a reason, right? Because something has happened, I've accomplished something, somebody has done something to me, for me, that's made me happy. And we tend to say that, and not to discount all those wonderful things that evoke happiness in us, but let's remember they evoke the happiness that we already have. And that sometimes when life is looking anything but that, we can still experience that same happiness because it is in our spiritual DNA. So the book is kind of a popularized version, actually, of the science of mind principles that we teach. It's based so much on science of mind principles, and yet she doesn't use that terminology. But I invite you to take a look at the book afterward. On Amazon, you can get it, or you're welcome to take a look through mine if you're curious about it. Because she has a lot of really practical steps and ideas, but it's not just a self-help book. It's really inviting us to self-realization, which is what we're all about here. And as she writes, she says it's about ways to consistently experience the deep inner happiness that's at your very core. That's beyond reason. That's important. Beyond reason. Beyond, sometimes it doesn't make sense. And that is here to stay. So, happiness may look different, a little bit different to you. I don't know sometimes I'm not happy, but I'm not unhappy. So let me broaden this a little bit to just so that in case some people might say, That sounds so Pollyanna, so smiley face, so emoji with the big, It can be contentment. It can be a sense of just well-being. It can be joy, which is a little bit different than happy, but all embraced by the same idea, the same sense. So it can vary. But it doesn't have to have an outside reason. You heard that in Kathleen's beautiful prayer and in our chant. God is what? I am. That full sentence. God is, I am. It's all within. And it's a fitting theme, this idea of being happy for the holidays, right? Joy to the world and all that. 'Tis the season. And usually, for so many people, it's usually the least joyful time of the year. And I want to acknowledge that because it just, sometimes it evokes a lot of emotions and memories. And so, especially important to talk about happiness for no reason at this time of the year. But we can experience this all year long. Because, as I said, it is woven into our very nature. You hear every Sunday here, the core theme of our message and this teaching of Science of Mind is that the power is within, nowhere else. That means that the power, the thing you desire, that I desire, whatever it is, it's inside. It starts from inside. Yes, it may bring in all kinds of resources and ideas and things from outside, but where does it start? Inside. That means whatever we're seeking begins with our thoughts, with our consciousness. And every week you hear us talking about that from a little bit of a different angle, because I know sometimes it can sound like, what does that mean? How do I do that? So we keep looking at it in a lot of different ways, but that's the core thing, and that's what's behind today. The thing with happiness is that we are so easily enticed. We're bombarded. So, therefore, we're easily enticed and seduced to seek its source in people, places, and things outside of us. I mean, it's the message we hear all the time from our culture, our media, our friends. It's just become kind of a norm. What will make you happy? And we look for it outside. So today, let's really work again on adjusting our perspective and just saying, maybe I could experience happiness from the inside out, no matter what's going on in my life, no matter what, regardless of appearances or conditions, big order. Now, I want to add this. Please know that I am not being flippant about this. I don't mean to trivialize the challenges that anyone may be facing. We all do. We all have been to the dark side, I think, a few times in our lives. And I'm not making light of that at all and saying, well, just paste on a happy face. No. But I also want to add this caveat, that knowing you can be happy for no reason, have that inner sense of well-being for no reason, does not rule out tapping into external therapies and resources that are available. We're human, and they're there. And it's part of the evolution of human consciousness that more and more tools are there for us to use. But here's the best part, is that inner knowing can then serve as guidance, number one, for finding just the right tools that will support my reconnecting with what is inside of me. What doctor, what therapist, what medication, what financial advice, what relationship help, whatever it is, that inner something, that inner compass will guide us to that. And also, the best part is that inner source is the source. All the rest of it, those are avenues. Those are ways that the source those are delivery systems. That God, the infinite, that something within us, gets that to us. So if one delivery system closes up and we think, well, that was my only last chance for love, for money, for opportunity, for health, guess again. Know again that the source is infinite and it never ends. That's the reassuring thing about all of this. So even if we are exploring lots of ways that we feel will help us on our journey, the best part is knowing that if one seems to dry up, there's always another one. There's always another one, because God is infinite. Whatever you want to call God. You know we say that all the time. I don't care what you call it, and it certainly doesn't care. But in our humanness, I think it's a beautiful thing about our humanness that we have that texture of the range of sadness, of sometimes despair, of fear, of anxiety, of anger. That's not to be said that that's bad or wrong. But I am saying, just take this with you again, that behind it all, joy, well-being can be our baseline, our compass, our due north, our GPS, our guidance system. It's there, behind the clouds sometimes. So that said, I think you get that happiness is a spiritual truth. It's a spiritual mandate. It's a spiritual principle, fundamental. I love what the Dalai Lama said. You probably heard this in various ways, but he was being interviewed, and I heard this interview where the interviewer said, well, what is the purpose of life? And he said, the purpose of life is to be happy. The interviewer said, whoa, wait a minute. Isn't it more complicated than that? Isn't it more complex? Is it more nuanced than that? And he laughed. You know how he laughs? A lot, in smiles. That's the Dalai Lama, being pure joy all the time. And he's been through incredible torture and pain and betrayal. But he said, well, for one thing, happy people generally aren't fighting with each other. Oh, ding, ding. Just one observation. And so he expanded on that. There's a lot that he has written and shared about that. But that is a spiritual principle. So going with that then, there are two things I want to say about this happiness for no reason. The first thing is that happiness is not something you do or you get. It's something that you are. It's your innate spiritual nature. As I said about hearing Fawny sing, and there are other examples of in our lives when, have you noticed that wells up within you just a moment of joy, of maybe laughter, a smile, a warm feeling. Music can do that. The picture of a loved one, response to a little baby, a child, a pet, and more. There are things that in those moments, we don't overthink them. We just, oh, wow, something happens right in that moment. Don't discount those little moments, because that's that inner joy peeking through, saying, there's more here, I'm here. But sometimes it needs to come squeaking out by means of something spontaneous like that, because if we try to think about, well, there's all these things going on in my life, I don't see how I can possibly be happy, well then, we miss the whole thing. So that's just one example to me of how it is our nature, our spiritual nature, because these things that we think make us happy, they're triggering what's already in us. And why is that? Again, as we sang in our chant, and again, as Kathleen did in her prayer, acknowledging in her prayer too, we are expressions of the Creator. Just remember that. God is I am. We were created by the infinite power of the universe out of itself, and that means we have its qualities residing in our very fabric of our being. And as last time I checked, that infinite power is not an unhappy energy. You ever think about, God is sure miserable today. God's having a bad day. No. When we think about, it's wonderful, I'm created by God, out of God, but God's not liking me so much today. No, that power is always joyful. It is pure joy. Life is pure joy, the energy of life. It's vibrance. It's flourishing. It's got that energy. The Sufi poet Hafiz said it this way. He said, ever since happiness heard your name, it has been running through the streets trying to find you. And several times in the last week, God himself has even come to my door asking for your address. Yeah. It's not something trying to elude us at all. We elude it. There was a gospel song we used to sing, Bob being one of my we're kind of closet gospel music lovers, aren't we, Bob? Do you remember that one that said, the world didn't give it to me, so the world can't take it away? That's what I'm talking about. This is something that's in us. It didn't come from outside, so it can't be taken away by anything outside. I love that. And last week, another way that was expressed was by Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, when there was a question in the question answers about a huge problem for somebody. I believe it was an addiction problem. And while he acknowledged that there are tools and practices that are very practical for addressing that, he also said, from the perspective of science of mind, and what Dr. Holmes said is, invite this person who's having this struggle to see themselves as larger than the struggle, larger than that issue. That's another way of saying, I have it in me no matter what's going on. Whatever you're experiencing, take a moment and see yourself as larger than it. It's just a little, should I say, a little speck on the windshield of life. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that. I know. But we are always held lovingly and unswervingly by that creative something that made us out of itself to do one thing, to unfold, to flourish, to discover more and more of who we are. Or as my teacher and mentor, Dr. Kennedy Schultz, many years ago used to say, you are not your problems, you are greater than your problems. There's something in you that's greater than. You are greater, you are not your problems, you are not the appearances. That happiness, that joy in you is there because it has nothing to do with what's going on. It's greater than that. So sometimes just shifting our perspective like that can make all the difference. Which leads me to the things we do actually do to, not to make ourselves happy, but to discover and be more aware of the happiness within us, no matter what. Again, the things to do, don't go away from here saying, now I have to do these several things that will make me happy. Just go away with the awareness that I'm going to start to get out of my own way so that my innate happiness can shine through, so that I can recognize it. My own innate contentment or sense of well-being, if that suits you better right now. So how do I get out of my own way? Oh, I love what Ralph Waldo Emerson said about this, and many spiritual mystics have said this, and we know. But he said, most of the shadows of this life are caused by standing in the way of our own sunshine. The shadows are caused by us standing in the way of we're in our own way, standing in the way of our own sunshine. So how do I get out of my own way? Because I like my own way, you know what I mean? We've been going together for a long time, and it's been a coping mechanism, no question. Well, first thing is it does take practice. I know. We would love to have this magical, I've seen the light, turn the page. And sometimes that can happen. But for most of us, it's a practice. So just recognize that. Take baby steps. And it's about, first of all, changing those habitual thoughts about happiness being contingent on something outside and saying, hey, wait a minute, it's in me. Catch yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't malign yourself. Just catch yourself and do a 180 and say, wait a minute. Happiness, whatever it is that I think I want or is eluding me, doesn't matter. It's all in me. Catch yourself in your thought processes. And believe me, as you practice that, you'll surprise yourself. Because you'll be in a situation where you're going down the old path, and all of a sudden you'll notice that your mind has said, wait a minute, there's another way to look at this. You're changing your thinking, changing those little synapses and how they fire in your brain. In the material world, in the world of, whatever more stuff will make us happy, and of course that's, again, the holiday, how how many of the best last Christmas sales are we going to be bombarded with, and it's only December 8th. But Socrates supposedly said this. He saw a heap of gold and jewelry being carried through the streets, and he exclaimed with utter joy, he said, "Oh, look, how many things there are that I don't need or want." Imagine him walking through Best Buy or the mall. Try that. Go there and leave your pocketbook at home and say, "Wow, look at all that stuff. I don't need it. I don't even want it. I'd have to maintain it and dust it, and it's not the source of my joy anyway." So that's, by the way, that's how I feel every Cyber Monday too. I love it. And Black Friday. Wow, I have a policy. I will not even shop on those days. But you can't avoid the headlines. But I'm always kind of tickled by saying, I don't have to buy any of that stuff. I don't need it. I don't even want it. What a freedom. Well, that comes from a sense of inner well-being, a sense of knowing, wait, that's not my source. Those are just avenues. Not that I don't like some of that stuff. You know me. But not as a source, a source of security, of happiness, of joy, of well-being. Now, in the book, Marcy Shimoff does give a long list of very helpful suggestions for how to get out of the way of our own happiness. And let it shine through. So I do invite you to check out the book. I don't get a commission on it. I'm just saying it's a good resource. But she does sum it up in 3 guiding principles for getting out of your own way and experiencing your innate happiness and well-being. And you're gonna recognize these because we've talked about them in different ways many times. But I love this review. The first is expansion. Think and do things that expand you. She said this. Now, I can't describe it as much because it's going to be unique for every one of us, but I can say and I'm not talking about diet plans. Falling off the wagon, right? It's about doing things that bring you alive, things that immediately give you a feeling of breathing, rest, versus things that contract you. And she said, and so it's unique for every one of us, but she said, use your own internal GPS guidance system. Remember that game we'd play when someone would hide something and then you'd say, as they were getting closer, say, hotter, you're getting hotter. Or if they were going away, no, you're getting colder, you're getting colder. Well, that's kind of a way to look at this. What expands you, what warms you, versus what's pulling you in. And it can be the tiniest thing. It can be a TV show you decide to watch or not watch, or it can be a decision that you make, a life decision. But that inner guidance system will never, ever fail us. And the point is, expansion is about that inner happiness, that inner joy. Because when I'm doing things that expand me, there's this sense of happiness there. A sense of joy, a sense of well-being. Second thing she says is trust that the universe is always there to support you. The universe is always providing ways to support us and our best growth. That's an important add-on, our best growth. She says that in the book. Because it might not be obvious, and that's an understatement, right? What do you mean this is support? This feels like it's pulling me down the other way. But it's always there to support us and our best growth. And she says this trust allows us to be open and open-minded and open-hearted so that we can see and experience the gifts that are there. And she suggests this. As I'm talking about this, I'm going to suggest it to you too. Instead of overthinking that, well, wait a minute, how is the universe there to support me? Let me see now, how could that work? Don't overthink it, just try it. For 1 week, she suggests, instead of resisting whatever happens, Assume that the universe is on your side, in your corner, cheering you on. And then watch what happens. Just try that as an experiment for 1 week. I peeked into the January Science of Mind magazine, and there's some great articles. And one of them is just a short column by a man named Mitch Horowitz. He's in there every month. He said this, and this is just another way of saying what I'm saying. He said, we exist under extra-physical forces beyond the material. So he says, for me, it means that you are never without unseen resources. Never. Even when facing periods of profound challenge. He said, we cannot always reverse every challenge, at least not in ways that we foresee, but I am convinced that through the agencies of the mind and the manner in which our thoughts relate to higher principles, we always possess greater resources and options than we even understand. That is powerful. How many times are we unhappy because we've made a list of what we think are the options and the possibilities, and it's short, and we ran out of stuff to believe in? It's endless. It's endless. So try it. Try it this week. Third thing she suggests in embracing all of the ways to get out of our own way is appreciate. You know, what you appreciate appreciates. Anything that is appreciated, it appreciates. Remember the movie and the book, The Secret? Huge, huge, huge deal. And there was a little bit of a kind of a misunderstanding of what the author really meant. And I for a long time I thought, well, it's kind of nice, but it's all about sitting down and having a thought and having a mansion. You know what I mean? Having a thought and getting a new car. And I don't know, it just didn't feel quite, something was missing here. Well, Marcy, in her book, talks about talking with the author, Rhonda Byrne. And Rhonda Byrne acknowledged that people had misconstrued this as well. And she said, the secret to the secret is that the shortcut to anything you want in your life is to be and feel happy, or fill in the blank, now. Not to envision it and hope you bring it to you, but to have the consciousness, I'm going to put it in Science of Mind terms now, have the consciousness of it right now. So whatever you are seeking, practice getting out of the way of it's out there and I got to get it. And if I think hard enough about it, maybe I'll manifest it. Instead, settle into feeling and realizing the truth is you have it already. Maybe not in the way your outer eyes would think it should look, but you have the essence of it in the very best, most supportive way imaginable. Be and feel happiness now. In closing, I want to share with you something I read again in one of my favorite daily readings books, which is 365 Days of Science of Mind. Richer Living. And it's alternate months of Dr. Ernest Holmes and then Raymond Charles Barker, who were on the same page, just had a little different style of writing, and it's just great. So this one was from December 1st. God, by any name, is where I am, and God will always be with me. God's hand will never loose mine, nor will God's love let me go. This is not about I got to hang on to God really tight. It's not about I have to love God really well or else. No, I love that. It's saying it's there. It's loving you, it's holding your hand, and it will never let us go. So, as Dr. Holmes said about the joy in living, the innate joy that is intended for us to experience and express, there's a laughter of God. Let's laugh it. There's a song of the universe. Let's sing it. There is a joy. Let's experience it, because we should accept happiness as our divine birthright today. Try it. You might like it this week. And just know that when you are in this mode of allowing your happiness to be revealed, you are a blessing to everyone around you. No question about it. This is not selfish at all. This is the best gift you can give to everyone around you. So with that, you're going to love what Fawny's going to sing. I could get used to being this happy. I hope that'll be your song this week. Namaste.
Tendency to look at things on the dark side. The glass had always seemed half empty to me. But since you've been around, it's getting harder for me to keep my spirits down. Just waking up with a smile sure new to me. You know I could get used to being happy. I could get used to a brighter day. If I'm dreaming, don't anybody slap me, 'cause sure get used to living this way. Sure get used to living this way. Spend all my life looking over my shoulder, running smack dab into hard times. Now they say it seems like bad luck follow me. But since I came to see yourself, I've been thinking better and feeling well. And my old friends ain't believing what they see. Well, I could get used to this being happy. I could get used to a brighter day. If I'm dreaming, don't anybody slap me, 'cause sure get used to living this way. But sure get used to living this way. Just stop me if I start getting carried away. 'Cause this happy feeling keeps me getting better every day. I could get used to being happy. I could get used to a brighter day. If I'm dreaming, don't anybody slap me, 'cause sure get used to living this way. I could get used to being happy. I could get used to a brighter day. If I'm dreaming, don't anybody slap me, 'cause sure get used to living this way. Sure get used to living this way. I could get used to being happy. I could get used to a brighter day. If I'm dreaming, don't anybody slap me, 'cause sure get used to living this way. Sure get used to living this way. I like living this way. All right.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Bob, too.
Well, thank you for such a wonderful message this morning, anchored by this beautiful and uplifting music. We are certainly blessed this morning. Now it's time to share our offering and express our gratitude, not only for this ministry, but also just for the abundance of life that we've already been gifted with. We always give from gratitude, knowing that the law of circulation does return it. So I invite you to take your gift in your hand and place it over your heart and bless it as you share it. That blessing is so important. And know with me, my gift goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper. And that divine flow returns it to me multiplied abundantly. And altogether, if you would repeat after me, I give thanks
I give thanks
that I may share
that I may share
of my good,
my good,
my love, and my support.
and my support. And I give so much thanks for you. You are such a blessing, and we are so blessed. So let's sing. I am so blessed.
I am
So blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And now, as Harry brings forth our offering, we take this opportunity as a community to know and affirm that these gifts are blessed, and that divine love, divine flow, the essence of law of circulation, of spiritual law, irresistibly draws more of that goodness to us, more of that blessing and abundance. And together we say, and so it is. It's been wonderful having you all here this morning. Please do join us for coffee and conversation if your schedule permits. And if you would like one-on-one prayer support, time of miracle moments, please seek out Jim Grove. He'd be happy to meet with you. Now I invite you now to have a wonderful week. Please stand and join in singing our closing song, the peace song. The words are in your program.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God our Creator. We are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take